Cheers. Welcome F1 fans. Thank you for joining today. Today I'm going to be discussing the things I'm going to be looking out for as well as my race predictions for the Miami Grand Prix coming up this weekend. So one of the biggest things I'm going to be looking out for is for Lando, see if we come back with a strong performance. I know he has that race pace. Obviously, in his last few results in qualifying, he hasn't been able to knock it out of the park, especially in the last race where he had his major crash. So obviously, what we're going to be looking out for is what can he do in qualifying. So definitely Lando has some challenges coming up for this weekend. Obviously, trying to perform better than Oscar, now that Oscar has been converting his good results in qualifying to race wins. If Lando can perform well this weekend, if he gets P1 at the sprint, converts it into a win, and as well as for the actual qualifying, if he gets P1 and also converts that to a win. And then we can't discount Max. So it'll be pretty interesting to see where both McLarens are at, as well as knowing the fact that Max is there. And if Red Bull can still bring a competitive car for Max, I have no doubt that Max will be there right behind the McLarens. So it should be some interesting battles. So the thing I'm going to be looking out for is for Charles in the Ferrari. It seems like Charles now even has been getting a bit more comfortable. Maybe the pace isn't there compared to the McLarens. However, based on the last race in Saudi, he was able to manage a P3, keep Lando at bay, and as well also during the race pull away from George. As we know, George has been pretty consistent. So that's one thing I'm going to be looking out for, is basically where does Charles qualify. Maybe in qualifying, George still has the upper hand, because if you actually think about it, in the last few qualifying results, George has been getting some pretty good sectors, turn them into purple against the McLarens, against Max. So he's been pretty good in terms of the race. However, there is kind of like a little weakness that it's still kind of visible with the Mercedes is on hot temps. That being said, if Mercedes can bring a great car to George will definitely outperform that car and get himself into the top 3, top 4. The other thing I'm going to be looking out for is, can our rookie Alonso score some points? It's pretty sad seeing at the state where Aston Martin's at right now. It seems like instead of upgrades, they're bringing downgrades. I know that's kind of the joke with them right now. But, I couldn't be hopeful. If he gets a P10, P9, I'll be pretty happy about that. But that being said, I know Aston Martin is probably now putting the focus more into next year for the 2026, now with Adrian Newey and then the Honda engine coming up. But all I ask really for Aston Martin is maybe just bring back the 2023 car. The one that Alonso got podiums for the rest of the year. I don't know how it works, but couldn't hurt, right? The other drivers I'll be looking out for is for Carlos and Yuki. Again, for Yuki, let's say if Red Bull still actually brings a competitive car, based on the last few races, Yuki has actually been able to see. It looks like Yuki's been a bit more comfortable with the Red Bull. Obviously, he's learning it every time. He did have a good qualification at the Saudi GP. It just sucks that he had the incident with Gasly. So I would like to see what he could do, see if he could still get close to Max in qualifying. But definitely I could see him in Q3. But yeah, let's see what Yuki can do, see if he's getting more confident in the Red Bull. Maybe he could turn things around and have us not thinking that the second seat at Red Bull is cursed. The other driver I'll be looking out for is Carlos. Carlos, same thing, just like Yuki. It looks like he's getting more confident in the Williams. He did pretty good in the last race. Him and Albon, they got double points. They were able to keep Hadjar at bay with the DRS train. So I'm excited to see what Carlos can do. See if he could. I remember last year in the Ferrari, he was battling with Oscar. They were trying to get that P3, P4. No, it was actually P2 if I'm not mistaken. They're battling for. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. It was the rookies I'm looking out for. definitely Antonelli. It just seems like he's one of. It seems like he's gotten really comfortable in the Mercedes, and good for Mercedes to be able to give him a competitive car. So yeah, so I'll definitely be looking out for what kind of overtakes he's gonna be trying to go for. He's a risk taker. So far he hasn't had any incidents, and let's see if he keeps that streak going. But yeah, definitely. I look forward to him racing. See, maybe he keeps improving. Even in qualifying, he's been performing pretty good. So yeah, so I'm looking forward for Antonelli. And the second rookie that I'll be looking out for is actually Hadjar. Hadjar is one that actually has been impressing me as each race comes by. Initially, when the season started, I didn't think he was going to be performing well, mostly just because in F2, probably, his well-known short temper or just the fact that he had a few incidents. So I just carried that. I thought that maybe he was gonna struggle, but it seems like he's adapting pretty good to the RB. Good for RB to also give him a pretty stable car. It seems like sometimes they have pace in certain times. I mean, he's been able to get good results in qualifying, so good for Hajar. So I'm looking out as well what else he could do for this race. The other thing, which I was checking right now, is that there's I won't say a good chance, but there's some chance of rain. And right now, based on what I'm looking at, it's like at 35-40%. I'm sure people in Florida, they already know how the weather is, so we'll see, right? But if there is some rain chance, yeah, I still think, once I get my predictions later on, I still think it's still going to be about the same. The only thing I could probably think of that might happen if there's some rain chance is to look out for the strategies that the teams might use, depending on how the rating is. I mean, I'll look out for Ferrari. I mean, they're pretty known to stick on some slicks instead of putting some intermediates. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me from Ferrari. But yeah, I mean, if we have some rains coming up for this weekend, yeah, Max, he's well known for the Rainmaster. I know at the Australian GP, Lando was able to keep Max at bay, but I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens if we do get rain for this race. Now, the other thing I'm going to be looking out for is actually the announcement. Now that we know that Cadillac's going to be coming in the grid for next year, it is said that they're having some type of announcement on Friday, and I read somewhere they could just be like delivery, just kind of give us a sneak peek of what they got planned for what the car's going to look like for next year. So that'd be interesting. But the other bigger thing that I've been seeing on Instagram, social media, and other from other channels on YouTube is that maybe there's speculation that Checo could be one of the drivers that they might be signing on. And I think to add more fuel to this fire is that recently today, as of this recording, F1 announced that they extended the Mexican GP. And so if that being said, I mean, just the timing kind of, like I said, adds to the speculation. I actually think good for Cadillac if they're actually going to go that route and getting Checo, because if you think about it, now that they're announced that the Mexican GP is going to still be on the calendar for quite a while, it's a good marketing move, especially for 2026, with Cadillac coming in, and then if they bring someone like Checo, why not, And actually, I'm excited to see Checo. Obviously, he left on a bad note with Red Bull. Like I said, to some people, they might think that their second Red Bull seat is cursed. I mean, who knows? All I know is that if Cadillac makes that decision and Checo ends up being one of the drivers, I'm sure a lot of people will welcome it, especially out there in Mexico, now that we know that we're going to have more races in Mexico for the future. So my race predictions for this weekend, I'll start with the sprint. The top 5 drivers that I have is on P5, George, P4, Charles, P3, Max, P2, I'll give it to Lando, and P1, Oscar. I just think it'll be interesting. I mean, I could see Lando maybe, if he does perform well in the sprint qualifying, get P1. And basically what I'm saying is that Oscar will overtake him. Even though it's in the sprints are short, usually no one really overtakes. But I mean, that'd be kind of interesting, right? Just to like keep us on. It's like, oh, we finally get that McLaren battle that we all thought we were gonna be getting. But yeah, so that's my race predictions for the sprint. I could be dead wrong. It could just be a boring sprint race. So my top 5 for the race, in P5 I got George, and P4 Charles. Unless it rains, I wouldn't be surprised if Ferrari tries to do something fantastic and then it might mess up Charles' race. But let's say it doesn't, that's what I think. And on the podium I have Max on P3. Like I said, Max, at least in the 2022 race, 2023, he won them. Obviously, last year, Lando won it. But, yeah, Max is pretty good at this track, so I'm not going to discount him. He'll do whatever he could to manage to be there. And basically, I expect it to be a McLaren 1-2. And P2, Oscar. And then P1, Lando. I think Lando, if in qualifying gets pole, I think he could convert that pole into a win. As we've seen with the dirty air and the tire degradation, is whoever is up in front and has that clean air, they're most likely able to maintain that position and win the race. So yeah, so let me know what do you think. What are your predictions? You think it's going to be similar to what my predictions are, or you think it's going to be a whole different type of race? I'm curious to know. Comment below. So I want to give thanks if you actually stuck around towards the end of this video. I appreciate it. This is my first of many that I'm going to be uploading to this channel. Right before races, it's going to be a race preview and predictions. And after the races on Sunday, it's going to be a race review where I'll go over overtakes if there's any, or anything exciting that happened throughout the race. With that being said, I'll have a link on the description where you can follow the channel's Instagram. And actually for future videos, I actually want you, the viewers, to engage with me. I'm going to be posting up questions for any upcoming races. I want to know what your predictions are. I want to have this channel be more of an engaging thing with F1 fans, with you, the viewer. I'll be asking questions. I would like to include your guys' predictions or your guys' bold predictions. I just want to be part of this content, not just have me talking about it and give my thoughts and opinions. I also want for anyone following this content to be part of the conversation. So yes, I'm definitely excited. So can't wait. Let me know, comment below. And I look forward to see you guys up to the next race. Cheers. Poet.